I started recording.
This meeting is being recorded. Welcome to the Mind Heist podcast, everyone. My name is Mohammed Rezgi, and today we have a very special guest. His name is Amin Omar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Why are you laughing? Is that not your name?
It is.
Okay, exactly.
Yes.
Because it's interesting you say that, because I messaged you maybe last month asking what your surname was, and that wasn't the one you gave me out of the other two that I had for you.
Well, call me Amin Incognito.
I think you just have different surnames for different countries, right? And the reason why you're in all these different countries, you speak fluent English, but you were in the UAE and now you're in Turkey. It's very clear that you work for some secret service. I don't know what country you're aligned to, but we've been exposed.
I was going to say I wish I did, but no, I don't wish I worked for secret service. Yeah.
How are you, bro?
Alhamdulillah, bro. Very good. It's that time of year, bro. Autumn is coming. I nearly said fall, subhanallah. Autumn is coming.
You're an American spy.
Highly influenced by America. Blame it on YouTube. Yeah, bro. I don't know. I'm liking the weather these days. That's for sure. I went paintball the other day. I got this. I don't know if people can see. It got this pretty bad bruise on my hand. Just paintball straight to the hand, sensitive spot. I must say though, bro, I only got hit once, but I was playing with some newbies and it was not nice. It was like butchering. It was like
spray and pray sort of thing.
No, it was not spray and pray. These guys are new. There are some things that I forget about the fundamentals of, like, for example, like paintball, yeah? For example, if you hide behind cover, you will not get shot. That's like a basic thing. But some people, maybe they don't realize, or I don't know. So some of these guys, they're like literally strolling from cover to cover. And I'm just hitting them 5 times in the head, Like, for some reason, I mean, it's not because I'm particularly good, but I'm hitting them in the head and the neck. Only head, neck, and that's... And the neck, I don't think is gonna hurt. That's not gonna be nice, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I love paintball, man, and it's quite cheap here. There's one not far away. It's just about getting enough people to come. We did it a few weeks ago. We had like 15 people. That was good. This time we only had like 6, 7.
Okay.
So, I think 5-on-5 is kind of depends on the size, obviously, of the place. But in the UK, you got some mad ones. I think you got some forest ones. You got with the double-decker bus in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah, I've only done it once.
It's
but
really
I think
good,
I do
bro.
remember. I remember it being like that.
Bro, you got to convince your work to do these team building exercises.
I think they did organise one, and I was not keen. I spent enough time with people at work. I just thought, no, thank you very much.
Bro, it's your chance to get revenge on Stephen.
Stephen, it's funny you mention that. I do need to get revenge on Stephen specifically, but let's move on, shall we? I digress. So once again, we're meant to have a special guest today, and circumstances did not allow. So maybe next week, inshallah.
Inshallah,
Inshallah, why not? No problem. So we should do what you lot have been nagging us to do for so long. Oh my God, I've just opened up the Mind Heist Gmail.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of unread messages. Although some of them are comments, aren't they, from YouTube?
Yeah. We should.
Which I've started sharing.
I
have started sharing on the Instagram, haven't I? I like to pick a nice comment from either Instagram or YouTube and highlight that on our stories. So if you're lucky or fortunate enough, whatever you want to call it, to be highlighted, then pat yourself on the back. Yeah. Because it means I definitely read your message. And you have access to the Instagram? I can't remember.
I do, but I just don't have it on my phone, so therefore don't really check it. But I do now and then. Every few weeks I take a look. And actually I started getting notifications on Facebook when we get like DMs, I think.
Oh, really?
So, but it's mostly just people like reacting to the stories and stuff like that.
Yeah. If you get a message or comment or reply from Instagram or whatever, it's most likely going to be me. But if it's not, it's going to be Amin. But
Yeah.
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 So we'll have a
let's go
look at
into
some of the cues.
Yeah. Have you got
Cues.
Curious Cat open as well?
I do. I think we've only got a few on there.
Okay.
I think people are. I think Mind Heist has encouraged people to be more confident about who they are and their identities, right?
Yeah.
And it's allowed them to ask questions by leaving their email address and encouraging that dialogue. I feel like Curious Cat is a very 2010, 2014 sort of thing.
14.
Yeah. For single people asking each other indirectly whether they married certain people from certain cultures.
Would you consider someone who is from X country, lives in X city,
dude.
and is this height?
I've got
Yes
this.
or no? Please give me approval.
I've got this document on my desktop. I'm not going to pull it up now; it'll be a mess. But it's all these links from my old Ask FM, and I remember one night I was on Ask FM with my cousin, which is very unlike him. Very unlike us to be together. But we just basically did loads of Q&A for people, and it was interesting because I was not in a position to do Q&A back then. I don't know what possessed me. So. And when I found my old Ask FM recently, and it's like got 5,000 questions and answers or something on it. I must have used it so much. I'm going to try and find it. Ask FM. You must have used it so much. Yeah, here we go. 6,076 answers. What an absolute joke. At least now I've got yourself to sort of hold me back and stuff. But oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. It's still here. For some reason it's still up. I don't really know if I've got the login and stuff. Because
how about this, bro? I just found mine.
Yeah.
7,000.
Bro, what were we doing?
7,
How many? What could I have possibly answered 6,000 times? Oh.
I remember I used to actually take it quite seriously.
Yeah, same.
I used to write maybe 1,000-word answers.
It was, oh my God! When you search Ask FM Aki Tweet, there's pictures of me as a kid that I must have used as responses.
Okay.
Oh, there's a pic. I'm gonna get this one up. I'm gonna share my screen just for this one. Where is it? Oh, can I get it up? Yeah, let me do it quick. This is a benefit. See, every episode I'm gonna throw something on the screen, just so you need to enable me just for the YouTube. I think you need to enable. Yeah.
3,
just for the YouTube, guys.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go. It's just taking longer than it needs.
I'll try and describe what he looks like for the audio.
You see this one?
It's still sharing. Yes. Oh, that's you. Oh, yeah, it does look like you. Oh, it's a meme. So Aki Tweet's made a meme. He's got his child self looking confused at the camera, and it says, "What?"
There's this one as well. I don't know.
Whoa, you look so similar, bro. So similar to now.
Yeah,
Mashallah.
That's me, bro. Just beardless. I mean, I'm probably like 4 or 5 years old, but anyway, enough of that. I don't know what else is going to pop up. Stop share. Okay, enough of being distracted.
I'm gonna pick the first one. I'm gonna try and go oldest to newest. So this one. Okay, we just want to make sure that it's not censored or anything. Okay, so this is a response. Like, we already replied to this brother's email in the past, but then he's emailed us again. So it's I'm just say his first name. So Abdul Hamid from Libya, remember? So he said, may Allah accept from you and us the good deeds in this blessed month. Okay, that gives you an idea of when this was. This is long overdue. So I replied to my last email for reference. I follow your episodes whenever I can, mashallah. You're always insightful, and your discussions help me see a lot of the topics you cover from a different perspective. That's ideal. I had mentioned I was going to share a part of one of your episodes to my students. They've recently finished their intermediate level course, and I was able to share about 10 minutes of episode 102, where you responded to my first email. Okay, alhamdulillah, great. We streamed the YouTube video on a smart screen classroom. They said in response to Amin's, the people of Benghazi are ahsan nas. They said, Wallahi anta ahsan wahid. We also studied the word modest in a later lesson. So Muhammad, they know what it means now. Okay, that must have been something. They also found your accents quite interesting, but somewhat similar to the accent we often listen to in the Face-to-Face series. It's the BBC accent, apparently, Muhammad. This was how I introduced them to the podcast. Later on, I used a video of Amin Sira Masters 4 benefits of Quran daily, of reading Quran daily. We finished the course about 2 weeks before Ramadan, so I thought it would be useful. As I said before, I think it's important that Muslim students of English as a second language are provided with English content about Islam. Well, there's plenty of that on YouTube these days, isn't there? This is especially important in the early stages of their learning, as forming their second language selves and identities, which often end up being different from that of their first language. Okay, that's interesting. This could be ascribed to cultural differences among other reasons. So yeah, like imagine, I remember, I don't know why this sticks in my head. When I was doing master's degree, there was an Iranian woman on the course, and she like spoke perfect English with an American accent. So I was like, oh, did you live in the US or something? And she said, no, I learned English from watching Friends. So you can imagine like watching that much Friends series, you're going to pick up way more than the language, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, going on. So for my future classes, I'll try to create supporting materials and activities to accompany the episodes I select for my classes, such as lead-in exercises to pre-teach new vocabulary, listening and comprehension questions, and post-listening. Okay, so basically the podcast is going to be used as a comprehension exercise, bro.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing.
Then he just said, thanks for all that you do. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wayakum Sheikh Abdul Hamid. Man, Abdul Hamid is a great name, bro. I wanted to call my son Abdul Hamid, but it was not accepted by the higher authorities.
Oh, bro, I can't believe that. This is phenomenal, isn't it? The ability to touch touch people in such special ways, so far away from us, and the fact that they're all there listening is quite crazy. I've never set foot in Libya, although I'm probably not too far away. But
bro, you've probably been within like 50 kilometers of Libya.
It's tiny, isn't it? Although I'm closer to the
Tunisia is
border.
like 50 kilometers wide or something.
It's all the same to me, isn't it? It's all the same. Let's break down our borders. Come on, it's all the same.
Yes.
No, honestly, when I hear Libyans speak, I think they're speaking Tunisian. Like their accents are so similar, cultures are very similar as well.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
What was I was going to say something about all of this, but it's lost my mind. No. Barakallahu Fik for your email. Sorry for the delay. They're probably all PhD students now. They're probably all graduated with God knows what, because by the time we replied. But sometimes we just have so much we want to talk about. Me and Amin don't get to talk for a whole week at a time, and we'll do better. How about that? We'll do better. I think we should try and do at least one email every episode, but some of them do take a long time to get through.
Except when we have guests, but yeah.
But
no, it's good the way we do it, because we give them their due right. Like some of these could be a whole episode, so we should give them a whole episode, But yeah, we just need to do it more often. But anyway,
cool. Let's go with... Oh, no, not Ask FM. No, I don't want that one. Curious Cat. This one is... 10th of December. Okay. How should a man react when his wife is being treated bad by his parents / his relatives? ?
How should?
Right. How should a man
That
react?
assumes that I've got authority on this topic.
So I think with this one, it's one for the scholars. I think it's one for the shuyukh to speak about. There's certain things I think we assume are based on our understanding of like how we should treat our mothers and how we should treat our wives and the rights between them. And based on that understanding, I think there's a lot of assumptions we fall into, right? For example, an easy assumption you could fall into is, oh, it's my mother, so I have to listen to everything my mother says about what she wants from my wife, right?
Yeah.
And I think we do get our wires twisted sometimes, and we do need to look deeply on a religious level from a person of knowledge about what is mandatory for the wife to do and what is not mandatory, and that you may think is mandatory. Like you have obligations towards your mother that aren't going to be the same as your wife's obligations to your mother. And I think it's important. I'm not going to comment on what you should do and how you should react to those situations, because it's not my place, but I think it's important to go and seek that knowledge from people that are... That's the first thing. That's what I think you should do. First of all is have a look online, see what fatwas are out there, because guess what, there's plenty. There's absolutely plenty. I know a a lot of shuyukh, ulama, etc. Islam Q&A's got articles about that sort of thing. You know, the discord between in-laws and stuff is very prevalent across the whole world. So you're always going to find advice from people of better knowledge in relation to it. And it's a very sensitive area and subject. A lot of relationships and a lot of your what's the word? What does my dad say all the time? Al-hana. You know al-hana? You know, al-hana. How do you say that in Fusha? Is it the same word?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know how to say it without saying it with a heavy Tunisian accent. But that kind of peace and serenity can really be destroyed if you don't react properly, you know, and if you don't weigh things up correctly and use the deen as your guide. But that's my 2 cents. What about you? Have you got some powerful, solid advice just like that?
No, I think, bro, we actually discussed this well on episode 120. Remember when it was me, you, and Muhammad Arshad? We discussed this kind of topic, and I think, you know, Muhammad, obviously being older than us and having a lot of experience with mediation and stuff, he had some good advice on this topic. So I'll kind of just refer them to that episode 120.
Yeah, good point. I think we did. I think we probably just put it on him to answer, didn't we? But this is it. Like, it's important. Honestly, it's important. The rights of people are so important. And unfortunately, the rights of people that we can often neglect the most are the ones that are closest to us, right? Because they're the ones that are gonna desire their rights from us more frequently, I guess. You know, you're always going to be around your wife, you're always going to be around your mother, you're always going to have to fulfill certain obligations, and then when those things clash, it's important to make sure that you don't destroy your akhirah in the process by making like incorrect and ignorant decisions based on assumptions and not based on knowledge. That's my perspective. What episode are we on? 129, is it?
Yeah,
let me reply.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. From Hamdi. Oh, this is quite long, but we can get into it. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Amin and Muhammad. I've listened to your podcast for some time now, and I thoroughly enjoy the topics you discuss. Your podcasts are thought-provoking and offer fresh perspectives on a lot of different topics. May Allah bless the work you do and continue to make it a source of benefit for others. Ameen. But I love that, because literally when we started the podcast, my intention was different perspectives. That was actually my intention. And so it's great to hear people saying that. I would like to address a past episode on conspiracy theories. I have seen a general trend within the Muslim community as of late to dismiss anything that may be deemed a conspiracy theory. There seems to be little to no critical engagement with what the word conspiracy actually means. To conspire is to come together to enact a specific plan. The closest word to this concept, as illustrated in the Quran, is makr. And this word has been repeated in the Quran, usually in reference to the conspiring of the disbelievers against the truth. When we look at history in the Quran, from the time Iblis made his promise that he will conspire to misguide Bani Adam from the right path, to Pharaoh's killing of the boys of Bani Israel, to the Quraysh's plan to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ, to the Jews of Medina converting to Islam in the morning and leaving it in the evening in order to cause confusion and doubt, we see a common thread of the forces of evil conspiring to fight the forces of good. Okay, agreed. Now, fast forward to our present day, we're constantly told that there are no conspiracies in play in the world around us. Events are random. There are a lot of different motivations, and there isn't a powerful group of people trying to steer humankind in a certain way. Any discussion of such possibility will lead you to be considered a conspiracy theorist, which is akin to being called a nut job. Although there is much evidence to point to a conspiratorial view of history, especially the 20th century and the past decades, we are gaslighted into mistrusting our own interpretation of what we see. Okay, blah, 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 yes. Okay, I don't want to read every single word. Looking around us, we see the satanic forces working to establish a certain kind of world. They are fighting the fitrah with children as their main targets. Research has been done on Disney and the destructive underlying message of their cartoons and films. Walt Disney himself had dubious connections with the CIA. And the term conspiracy theorist was coined by the CIA in the 70s as a way to demonize anyone who had legitimate questions on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. the big JFK. Many people now take it as a fact of history that there was a conspiracy to kill JFK from within the government. Okay, blah blah. I don't want to like read every single word. And then he said, what's this? So he put an ayah from Surah Al-An'am. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا فِي كُلِّ قَرْيَةٍ أَكَابِرَ مُجْرَمِينَ. What's this? It's too small. Let me zoom in. Okay. جعلنا في كل قرية أكابر مجرميها ليمكروا فيها وما يمكرون إلا بأنفسهم وما يشعرون. And thus we have made in every town the great ones to be its guilty ones, that they may plan therein. And they do not plan but against their own souls, and they do not perceive. Okay, and then he also said, وَإِذْ يَمْكُرْ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُثَبِّتُوكَ أَوْ يَقْتُلُوكَ أَوْ يَخْرُجُوكَ وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And those who disbelieved devised plans against you that they may confine you or slay you or drive you away. And they devised plans, and Allah too had arranged a plan, and Allah is the best of planners. لِيُثَبِّتُوكَ, really, does that mean to confine you? Okay. Some people make the argument that to acknowledge that, you know, I feel like we got the point, didn't we? I feel like we got the point.
It's interesting,
and it's a good point.
It's interesting you brought this up, because I literally, maybe the last sort of podcast I listened to earlier about whatever it was about, mentioned this very thing. It was almost like you pulled it out of that podcast. It was a John Fontaine long discussion about 9/11 and stuff. And
yes, okay.
I don't know if you saw it, but someone came up with that point. Now, my perspective on it, although I do bring up the conspiracy theory thing occasionally, I know I did about the UFO stuff and whatever, and that was interesting. I think let's backtrack a little bit. When I got interested in Islam, it was through this conspiracy theory stuff, I think. Okay. I think that kind of lit a bit of a spark. My uncle was really heavily involved in this sort of stuff online, right? And he would sometimes sit me down and make me watch stuff, you know, because that was it. Like, you have to, you need to know about the world or whatever. I remember getting so inundated with conspiracy theories that I honestly, and I'm not even joking here, I would literally feel like I was being watched while going out like to town. You know, I remember walking past like a Masonic center and just like staring at it, like thinking, well, what's going on in there? Like, this is it. The secrets of all of society is behind this door, right? And when I tell you, like, it was literally a daily thing, conspiracy theory videos and trying to figure out New World Order stuff, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, and all these patterns and all these celebrities and the one eye and la 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 la. You know, my mum was getting concerned. I remember my mum getting concerned, like, this is too much. Because I remember going to my mum and telling her, when I'm older, I need to find a way of letting everybody know. I remember having a conversation with my mum, saying, I'm going to do lectures and stuff, and I'm going to tell everybody this is the truth, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think part of that journey, I realised, like, how do you combat a new world order? How do you combat the supreme, whether they exist or not? You know, let's not even go down that road. But let's say hypothetically, there's this elite group of people, Illuminati or whatever it is, that literally control every inch of the world and however extreme you want to go with it. How do you combat that as an individual, right? And then I realised, listen, it's through the practice and the knowledge of Islam, like the true practice of Islam and the knowledge of Islam and how to implement it into your life, because that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to have taqwa, to follow him, to follow his teachings, to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It doesn't necessarily tell us, as far as I'm aware, go and find out what plans they're doing and tell everybody what plans they're doing, expose it. Like, that wasn't the focus. The focus wasn't on whether these people are making plans and you should. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they plot and they plan, and Allah plots and plans. Part of Allah's plan is telling you to worship him, telling you to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to follow the Anbiya before, to have tawheed. Do you understand? To have all of these elements, to guard yourself and your family from the fire, like these small things, right? What I realized, Akhi, is that I was getting so inundated with trying to tie the camel in terms of how do I expose these plans, and I need to tell more people about all these big plans that they've got, and look, this was an inside job, and this was that, and this was that, instead of actually trusting in Allah as well. So I think a lot of that is just tying the camel, right? And when you tie the camel too much, you've got no trust in Allah because you'll focus so much on, did I tie the knot properly? Did I do this? Did I do that? Do you understand that analogy I'm trying to bring?
I do.
So I think it's a lot. I hate saying it's a waste of time because a lot of people get a bit angry about that. But in the harshest way possible, it can be a waste of time because you could literally find a conspiracy for every single thing, start believing every single thing, and before you know it, you're wrapped up in trying to expose the truth of matters that you neglect learning anything that's actually going to benefit you and your family, the here and now, the things that you might be questioned about. I'm not going to be questioned about whether I told everybody stuff that I can't really confirm about some theories about this incident that happened halfway across the world or that incident that happened halfway across the world. What I will be questioned about is the here and now, my responsibilities. And it's that change, just like you've got behind you, bro, it's that change that we put in ourselves that will change the circumstances of the whole ummah. It's not going to be everybody finds out the Illuminati is real and there's a new world order that's going to change the ummah. It's going to be our religiosity and our taqwa to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you think?
I think maybe the brother is we're reacting to a certain episode where we were very much rubbishing. I think it must have been in relation to some of these theories about corona and stuff like that. And I think, my perspective is not to be taken from just like one episode because we've only got so much time to cover stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And also, a lot of the time I come from a similar context as you, that I spent hours watching like The Arrivals, for example.
Yeah.
Watching a bit of Imran Hussein here and there, and these things, when you go through that phase, you're going to come out of the phase. If you come out of the phase, you're going to come out of it a little bit like feeling like it was a bit extreme or whatever, right? So that's what then will cause you to go and say, oh, it was a waste of time, oh, it's extreme, oh, now I realize we've got to actually focus on the here and now, for example. But and you might end up being a little bit leaning in one direction, not being fully balanced because of your experience. However, my true belief on this stuff is I agree 100% with everything that the guy said. Everything. Like, yes, there is plotting, there is planning, no doubt. And like, in fact, it's like it's plain to see. It's actually plain to see. Any student of history, like I've got a good friend and he's like proper into history, like so many different areas of history and times, periods and all that. Like just having a casual chat with him and he'll pull out stuff and it's mad. Like history, like reality is madder than fiction. They always say that and it's true. It's insane. Yeah. So I agree with everything the guy's saying. I think and I think everyone should agree with that because like he said, that he's bringing from the Quran things to say that that they will plot against you, and they plotted against you, they're going to continue to plot against you, and the biggest plotter is shaitan, that he's going to plot to send us to Jahannam. Like that's what he promised to Allah, that's what I'm going to do, like that's kind of my mission kind of thing. There's no doubt about these things. The question becomes, okay, plots and plans and conspiracies happen, how do we react to it? And that's kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
And I think we need to be a bit balanced. And I had a good conversation with some friends a week or two ago, and it woke me up. I'm not going to lie, bro. It woke me up to some of the messages we've been putting out on the podcast that I can't say I fully can stand by what people may have taken from what I've been saying a lot. So I want to clarify. A lot of the time we focus on what you can do, what's in your sphere of influence, okay? And that should be like the main focus, because that's like what you're responsible for, like Yawm al-Qiyamah, and that's like the priority, okay? However, that is not the only thing, right? Like, for example, to create change, like this is what I was discussing with my friends. To create change, we were discussing the concept of, does change come from top down or bottom up? And what we've kind of been expressing a lot on the podcast is that it's bottom up, it's bottom up, it's bottom up. When people change, Allah will change their hal, their situation. And we kind of got into this topic. Okay, now interesting. Like this is a thing. You get it down. You kind of go tunnel vision sometimes, and you forget certain details, and you just keep going in that direction. So, for example, the ayah about how does it begin? لا يغير. Yeah, لا يغير ما. That's not the actually beginning of the ayah, but the beginning of this section of the ayah. لا يغير الله ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. The tafsir of this, if you look at the tafsir, because I looked it up again, the main tafsir of this is that Allah will not change a good situation that a people are in to bad unless they mess up themselves.
Right, I understand, yeah.
This is the main tafsir. The secondary tafsir is vice versa. That Allah will not. So it is a correct understanding, but it's not the primary in understanding that the Salaf came with. That's the first thing. The second thing is the question of, does change happen bottom up or top down? The conclusion that I came to with my friends, and you know, my friend, you know, who came with a lot of historical examples, because we, you know, in the liberalism episode, we talked about how the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, it came top down, and then we said the Prophet ﷺ, he did tarbiyah of the Sahaba, and then it went bottom up. And so I was saying, like, okay, yeah, that's kind of like the Islamic way is to go bottom up. But what my friend was telling me is that that's not true. It's not as black and white as that. Okay, so he said the truth is that change has happened in both directions, with non-Muslims and with Muslims. Okay, so for example, he was saying to me about the French Revolution that there was a group of elites who were not part of the monarchy, who influenced the average person to, the average people were fed up of the monarchy already. Okay, they were fed up because of they were suffering actually, like financially and food wise and these kinds of survival wise. So they were fed up. Now this elite group, I don't know exactly who they were, but they had these philosophies of liberalism and all that. They kind of took on the energy from the average person to then ignite the revolution. And then it just happened that when the revolution happened, the monarchy was gotten rid of. This group were there to be able to influence the philosophy of the new government and the new way things would happen. So what happened? Was it top down or bottom up? Well, it was both, because the average person was fed up and they took action, but also this elite group influenced the outcome of the governance and the style of things to go forward. Now the same happened with the Prophet ﷺ. He did tarbiyah of the average, the people around him. And so, you know, some of the early Sahaba, they were poor people, they weren't people of influence. So he did that, but then he also sought help from rich people and other tribes and powerful tribes. So the Prophet ﷺ sought to get influence in both directions. Bottom up, meaning the average people around him, the Sahaba, but also top down in terms of going to people. Like he sent a letter to the Caesar, right, inviting him to Islam, because that is a method of changing. And that has happened in history where powerful people became Muslim, and therefore all of their people became Muslim. Right, because so there are examples of top down. So what we concluded, and this, I was sitting with them, I'm like, look, this is a sick podcast. Like, we should be recording this, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. And there's a lot to say, but the point is that the focus, because of our sphere of influence being what we do day to day and our families, that kind of most of our energy should probably go into that. But for those who have a sphere of influence that is bigger than just that, they shouldn't ignore going to higher places and trying to influence powerful people.
No, of course.
You know,
of course.
And I think the reason that this is the thing, I've gone down the tunnel vision of telling people focus on yourself, because of me reacting to the mindset that, oh, the government's to blame, the government's to blame. And I'm reacting to that by saying, forget everything, focus on yourself. And so I must admit, it's a little bit of an extreme. It's still true mostly, but like, yes, you know, don't just blame other people. Focus on yourself, but then look at what you can do beyond yourself if you have that capability as well.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think also when we're saying focus on yourself, we're talking about individual sphere of influence, like you said. Like if the person that's listening is the vice president of God knows whatever organization,
Yeah.
then they're focusing on themselves is going to be different to me focusing on myself or you focusing on yourself. So there's that element. I think it's because the average person listening is always going to be somebody that maybe not going to have that kind of influence.
Like for me and you and for the listeners, like especially when you're kind of failing a little bit in some basics.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, you know what, there's been a lot of stuff this year. I mean, every year.
These days.
Protests and stuff. And I think that's what we were directing it at. Because what ends up happening is that in a similar vein to maybe the conspiracy theory thing, there's a lot of talk and a lot of discussion and a lot of research and a lot of this and a lot of that, but very little in terms of spiritual revival and deen and taqwa. You get me? Like, people go to a protest and it's a motive and that's what it is, and then after the protest they just carry on life as normal.
Exactly.
Right? And I think that's what we're trying to focus on, is that all of these things that you want changed within the Muslim sort of ummah, right, they're not going to change unless you yourself become a better person in that Muslim ummah and a better pillar in that Muslim ummah and a better representative. So
and damn, what was I going to say?
The thing is also change, like we spoke about change just now, bro, and we need to talk about change that is blessed and change that is good, right? Because as much as the revolution in France was its own thing, it's also what does that have to do with the what's it called? What's it have to do with the price of tea in China? That's what Mufti said yesterday. I've been meaning to use that in a podcast, bro. I got my chance. But yeah, it's like, what's that got to do with us? I mean, yes, there's going to be universal things that are bad and universal things that are good, right?
Yeah.
Such poverty is not going to be something that we enjoy and we condone and stuff. But in terms of us, bro, because let's take one of the Arab Springs. I'm not going to name one, just one out of the blue, right? One could argue that it was. I mean, there's conspiracies behind that. I came across a conspiracy earlier that said it was all funded by the CIA and this and that to cause discord and blah blah blah, right? They replaced one dictator and got another one for some countries. Do you know what I mean? So, is that change blessed? Is that a good example of change? We don't know. Allah knows best. But it's why it's important to as closely as possible adhere to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with, in terms of in our quest for change.
We never want to try and make change in haram means, of course not.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say in relation to conspiracies, plots against the believers and even against the non-believers, because Shaitan, it's not enough for him to send the Muslims the wrong way. He wants, for example, Christians to become atheists. Like, he wants to take them further away. He wants, even atheists, he wants to corrupt their fitrah. So there's nothing to awaken within them. So with regards to that, like taking action against it, I would say definitely there's a role to play. There is something to do, something to say about that, because like Allah doesn't say like just focus on yourself and pray and do the ibadah that he's listed. There are so many things which they might not be listed word by word in the Quran, but it's implicit in understanding. And like Allah says, وَعَدُّ لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ, prepare for them force, for the enemy. So you can't, and this is a fi'al amr, right? It's like the imperative, like telling you to do it. So you got to prepare. Like Allah tells you, prepare for them force, right? So we, if we have the ability, we need, and this is the thing, we have to prepare force, which is actually going to work. So if you don't believe protesting will work, well then that's not going to count in fulfilling this ayah. It's whatever seems to work. And sometimes you have to experiment to find out what works. Sometimes you just have to purely look at the sunnah and you'll gain lessons from that. And, so I think there is something to say about, pushing away the plot of the enemies. There is something to say for that.
I think what I wanted to bring up actually in relation to this is, I don't know if it's because we're getting older or if times have changed. That's always a big, difficult thing to narrow down. Is it because I'm getting older, or is it times have changed? But I've been thinking about that a lot. But misinformation is just insane. Like, these are like end times on steroids. Like, it's crazy. You can't, like, when I say sphere of influence, I'm also talking about sphere of knowledge, certain knowledge. Okay, so if someone says to me, like, okay, locally, I work in emergency services, law enforcement, that sort of thing, right? So if I see an article on the local paper and there's comments underneath it, and even on a minor level, this is a local town level, there will be conspiracies in relation to what local authorities are trying to do with the city and all that sort of stuff. And I'm reading it like, what the hell are they talking about, right? Because I'm in that and I see that and I know what the agenda is. However, with everything else going on in the world, any post, any news article, any video, any viral whatever comes out, whether it's Afghanistan or Syria or whatever it is, all you have to do is go through the comment section once and you just won't know anymore. You just won't know. You could watch the video, independently and be like, okay, I think I know, I can believe what they're saying there, or I know what's going on there, or whatever. But straight away, you go into that comment section, straight away, you're just hit with, oh, actually, I don't know anymore. This person's saying this person's saying that. One famous one, I say famous, not famous. It just came out just before I started Mind Heist. I was flicking through Facebook. Something to do with Afghanistan. They're going into all these places where all the old government were, like their houses and stuff. There was one, I don't know their names, whatever, but let's just say he's a politician or whatever, some governor or something. They're in his house. They found like a alcohol production factory / and there's all these fighters or whatever, and they're like showing all this alcohol bottles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, subhanAllah, look at that, that's crazy. And then I look at the comments, no, this is an absolute lie. This is actually the Uzbekistani embassy. And then someone else commented, bring your proof. And then I was just sat there like, well, now I haven't got a clue. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I don't. And neither will they. And suddenly you're like, well, I don't know what to believe. Not that really matters in terms of whether I believe it or not is going to change the facts on the ground. But it does all build up to change your perception over the whole world and what's going on in the world. And look at like now, bro, like, look at the USA. They're at each other's throats since the whole, like, I've never seen, obviously Trump, I'm not that old. Yeah, but I've never seen in 28 years of my life, which isn't a long time, this much, I mean, I suppose the American Civil War is a good example, but this much sort of divide between Americans. Because you know what? Thinking about it, when 9/11 happened, and obviously we are the children of 9/11 in the sense that we grew up in that era, 100%. America was very much, in my perspective as a young kid, a very much unified force because they had a common enemy, right? It was like, okay, the war on terror, and no Democrat or Republican were going to disagree that the war on terror was their priority. Yeah. Now that that's kind of waned a little bit, it's just like, there's so much stuff going on, and obviously American culture is dominant culture, and you hear about everything that they've got going on. It's like they're at each other's throats to an extent that I've never really seen in recent times, So it's just interesting times, and it's interesting to see the ripple effects of that influence Muslims in the West, right? Because not only have you got them dealing with their own business, it affects Muslims because we're all over the world, and because of that, how we react to these kind of things happening is also phenomenal. So when you see stuff like, when you were saying just now in relation to, responding correctly and doing what we can in our sphere of influence, it's like, on what knowledge are you gonna conduct your action? Because they say that knowledge without action, action without knowledge, is absolutely dangerous. Imagine action on misinformation and the wrong knowledge and complete lies and fabrications. Then what happens? It's scary, bro. So I think the cautious approach, once again in this day and age, is you can't be blamed for it, because can you really, hand on your heart, say, oh, that Facebook post with that crime and that thing that's absolutely true? Because, bro, since I really did think I knew it. Like, I really did think I could tell. We grew up I grew up using computers at the age of 6. And so I always grew up, and like many of us do, thinking that we know better than our parents when it comes to technology and what's real. Oh, I know that's a deepfake, that's Photoshop, don't worry about that. And now, more and more, I'm seeing myself fall for stuff that maybe wasn't so black and white. And it's scary, bro, because I wonder, like, what does the future hold for that kind of stuff?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know the whole hadith, but the Prophet ﷺ, he was describing the different stages, and he's saying, like, in the end times there's going to be dukhan, the smoke, and I don't know if what scholars said in terms of what time that corresponds with, but it sounds like we could be in smoke in the sense where, or very soon, like let's say in 5 years, maybe 10 years, when deep fakes video deepfakes, audio deepfakes, when all of that is like mainstream, fully mainstream, it will just be smoke. It'll be like, I don't know anything. Nothing in front of me can I really see and believe, you know. And I think it's another hadith about, you know, in the end times, the liar will be trusted and the trustworthy person will be disbelieved, you know. And all this we can see this happening. But I think to answer what you said about, is it we're getting older, or are times changing? I think times are changing, bro, because very simple, yeah. You talk about Facebook posts with comments. What we should do is, in order to know what is true and what action is correct and what action is effective and how, like, what the i'dad al-udda actually should be, we should go to authorities, right, in that area, whatever it is. Now, on a Facebook post, an authority's comment is the same size and the same, you know, what's the word? It gets the same priority.
Yeah, same format
as mine, you know, as my comment. So it's all, you know, democratization, you know, social media. Everyone is equal when they should not be equal. You know, and the way to overcome that, I would say, is block out all the comments and stuff and literally go directly to an authority, you know, that you trust, and they, you know, they know their stuff and all of that.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm sure, I could be wrong, but I'm sure there's narrations on the end times where people who aren't worthy are given positions of leadership, right?
Yeah.
And I just, you saying that has just made me think that in this day and age, what we consider people of authority sometimes, in some situations, is people with like that blue tick mark, the verified user, right?
Wow,
the celebrity, the entertainer.
Yes.
Who are they to lead this? Like, you know, I shared it earlier with my brothers in the group chat. It was a celebrity, and, you know, a really famous actor, and he had a T-shirt, like a very political T-shirt, saying, "Oh, I stand with such and such cause." And that. It was something, bro. And it was just like, and I sent it, and I was like, "Oh, look, you've gone and done it now. We've really peed off this actor, right?" And I was just thinking, like, wait, if he says that, think of all the people that watch his movies, that love him to bits, that are just gonna go, "Yep, oh, look, if he's on it, it must be true." Like, if he's on it, then it must be happening, right? And that's who they're going to take as leaders. I mean, bro, let's think about it. Donald Trump was like an actor in like WWE wrestling at one point. You know, I remember there was viral videos of him, like, you know, choke slamming people and stuff. And then he was, you know, a billionaire in this. So, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was an actor in all these movies, and he was a governor of California. You know, like, all these, like, people love celebrities so much to the extent that actually they are their leaders in this day and age. Not the actual people that are qualified. It's just, you know, the fact that, like, Angelina Jolie can go and do a big speech at the UN and everyone's just going to take what she says as gospel, bro. Because I remember that's what she used to do. I don't know if she still does, but it's just beyond me. Because imagine, bro, back in the day, because I always equate actors and entertainers to like court jesters, like back in medieval times. And imagine if a court jester was on the battlefield, bro. And he just went and did some crazy speech about what he thought was the truth, and everyone had to follow. People would be throwing their boots at him like, this is crazy. So, but this is the equivalent of what society is today. It's like the court jesters and the musicians are the ones that are like leading society. It's very strange. Yeah,
and that, again, that's not us getting old. That's just the world flopping. That's the world flopping. What the brother ended the email with, I thought that's good. He said, he shared this dua, أرنا الحق اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. Ya Allah, allow us to see the truth as it is and give us the ability to follow it, and allow us to see falsehood as it is and give us the ability to avoid it. Because ultimately, sometimes it seems like a time will come, I don't know if we're there or not, a time will come where you do go to the authorities. Turns out they're not authorities. Well, you go to the authorities, you thought you were going, but then it was like a deep fake of the person speaking.
It's crazy.
So that's why only Allah can help you in that sense. And inshallah, we're not exactly there now in terms of complete deception, but you know,
there are elements of it. There are things that we consume, and I think we're all old enough to know. You know, we're all old enough and clued up enough to know that every news agency and every news production company has an agenda, right? But we often forget it, even though we know it. You know, I've always noticed that everyone says, "Oh, I don't believe everything I read," or "I don't believe everything I see," but then suddenly they're believing everything they read and everything they see.
Well, I mean,
So
that's just availability bias. If
Yeah,
you have
of
read
course.
something, whether you believed it or not, it will influence your belief.
Yeah,
Just because you haven't heard another opinion, for example. So your default opinion will be the one that you just have floating in your head,
Yeah,
even if it's
yeah.
not your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
next.
I think my kids are screaming.
Mine too.
Mind Heist. Mind Heist classics. I've shut the window, so there's no seagulls today. But oh God, I've only just noticed the time. We might only have time for one more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's make it a good one. I don't think I've got any that are too. I mean, I do have one for you specifically. Yeah, should we just do this one? It's quite recent. Assalamu alaikum. Question for Amin. This is completely left field, but I feel like many online marketing tricks are not halal. What do you think about that? Where do you set the boundaries between clever marketing tricks and scamming?
Yeah, it'd be good if they gave details, because then we could go through each one and then I could say what I think about it or what I do about it.
Have you ever been tempted to just go full clickbait? Let's go absolutely crazy with this campaign.
I mean, it is a balancing act, because, you know, for example, when you're helping people to make money in their business, the truth is you're in a market where other people are promising that you're going to make $100,000 in the next month. If you come and say something a bit more realistic, like I'm going to help you make $5,000, you're going to get drowned out, because that's, I don't know, people are just like that or whatever. They're going to gravitate to the bigger thing. They want the bigger thing. So then you get tempted to change the 5,000 to whatever, 50,000, or get it closer to what the other people are saying. I think the biggest temptation, the biggest problem is just being truthful. And just like, I mean, it's kind of a good topic, but I need examples for it to be really good. So sometimes we'll be writing, copy, for a page, for like a landing page where people go after they click on the ad. And generally what you want to do is you want to give them a promise, right? So do this or get this with whatever we can help you with. Whatever you're promising them must be something, realistic and something doable and something that, you can actually deliver. And sometimes you do get tempted to just change a few little things, and then it becomes borderline truthful or not. But I think, between me and my partners, we kind of check each other with that. And sometimes we write, like I'm writing stuff, and I feel like the average person will disbelieve it.
Right.
Because it seems outlandish. But as long as deep down I know what I've written is truthful. Like literally 2 weeks ago or something, we did a webinar, and we were talking about making $10,000 a month from a business. Yeah. I know for the average person who doesn't have a business, that sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of money in terms of it could really change your life a lot. But in writing that, I don't feel like there's anything dishonest about that whatsoever, because like I've done that, and I've seen very close people to me do that using the same like method that we help people with. So I have no hesitation in using that, although I'm aware that people might view that as, oh, it's scamming, or it's lying, or it's exaggerating. But it's not. It really is not. Like in the end, I've got to answer ultimately to Allah. And as long as I can say that I was honest, then, then it is what it is. Other people, I know this now from experience. Other people will always claim you're lying or deceiving or scamming. And those people just will always be there. Maybe if I could have a chat with them, I could explain, and then they would understand that it's not lying or anything. But ultimately, I don't really mind that too much, because they'll never go away. If I changed the 10,000 to 1,000, they would still say that it's dishonest. So, so it's about what I know deep down. Is it true? Is it not true?
I think that's from the element of like truth, isn't it? Which is quite a deeper level of marketing than what I think some people fall into. Like on a base level, people are like, oh, should I use music in this advert, or shall I put a woman in this thing? Like, Those are like basic level. Do you know what I mean? That's another side of things
That's
that
true.
it could be talking about as
I
well.
don't really get tempted with those things.
No, yeah.
Like,
But I think there are more
easy.
amateur marketers that do, because I feel like that's the only way to do it. You know, I know that.
Yeah.
You know, what did I do videos on? I used to edit videos. I can't remember why. I have experience doing videos in an Islamic thing for some reason. But yes, actually, when I first started practicing, before I even knew the ruling on music, I had a YouTube channel where I was just, I don't know, doing some sort of stuff. And I remember thinking, let me put some classical music or whatever on there. But I didn't know anything about music at the time. And then after that, there was like obviously I did a bit more, I learned a bit more about the rulings and stuff. And then even till this day, you'll still find people so tempted by trying to make their stuff more engaging, marketable, etc. They have to have something in the background, or they have to, they have to make it engaging in that way. And I see that a lot, bro. Like, I see with adverts, some charities, like Muslim charities, just flat out just use music because they feel like they have to, and some will try obviously find nasheeds and humming and God knows what else because they have to fit that kind of
lovely
appeal. That appeal, it's just about that marketable appeal. So I think that's another angle of it, and obviously the women one, obviously I don't think we fall prey to that too much. But do you know what? Saying that, I have seen Muslim-owned companies like streetwear stuff. So when I used to do Pure XI, there was obviously competing or collaborating companies that did streetwear as well, Muslim-themed stuff, and it did always irk me. Like, ooh, I get that you're selling clothes for sisters, but why do they have to be like presented in such a sexualized way? Like, fair enough, they're wearing hijab and stuff, but hijab's not just the thing on your head. Like, why has she got to squat like that and present herself like that with your t-shirt on? Like, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? So in my head, I'm like, you got this thing that says Islam or whatever on your top, and then it's like, it's just weird. You could market that and you could sell that t-shirt, bro, without having to do that. Isn't that right? Like, you could sell women's clothing without even showing the women in some sense, especially if it's not.
I think it's difficult, but
it's difficult. But what with these brands, and the reason I highlight these brands specifically is because it wasn't anything special. It's a t-shirt with just a writing, so you don't need that much imagination to think about how that looks on someone, right?
Yeah.
With traditional women's, when I say traditional, but like Western women clothing, whatever you want to call it, they fit a particular way, and they're cut a particular way, and they seamed a particular way. So yes, one would argue that it needs to be seen how it's actually worn. But with standard t-shirts, unisex t-shirts for men and women, it's not that complicated, right? So when you're deliberately sexualizing women and men, to be honest, it's something I saw a lot in that clothing industry. Flipping. I mean, men, you can argue till the cows come home whether it's sexualizing them or not, but women especially, like in those particular poses, wearing those particular outfits, I was just like, why are we borrowing from the culture that we don't agree with just to sell this thing that with a message behind it that we should be adhering to? And I'm sure there's other examples, but
unfortunately they probably do agree with it.
Well, maybe.
I think I was going to say, bro, like, if I was in that kind of business, I might be tempted with a lot of other things, a lot of other problems. The business I happen to be in, and maybe it's slightly by design. For example, if like I would never take on a client who's like a gym. I wouldn't open a gym just because I know the path that goes down. It's very difficult to keep things halal that way, or not even just halal, but comfortable. And so I think if I was doing streetwear, I would be thinking like this. Look, I'm doing clothing. A big purchaser of clothing is women. Even if I'm selling streetwear, women, do buy that stuff, and they might just buy it to wear at home and stuff.
So this, yeah.
And then I start thinking, well, in order to sell to somebody, I have to show them in the context that they want to be in, right? So if a sister sees herself as enjoying life, sitting with her friends, drinking a coffee or whatever, laughing and all that, then I need to show women like her doing that, wearing my clothes, and I'm selling like that's a way of doing it, right? But then it becomes like, okay, how do I do that without using photos of women? It becomes tricky and tempting, but obviously I can never condone that kind of stuff, never ever.
I used to get people with this very same question that, when I had Pure XI, asking me like, oh, how do you, and I was quite fixated on trying to do things properly as much as I could. And I remember the whole women thing, like, I think maybe once or twice, and it wasn't even by choice, women were posting photos of themselves wearing my stuff. Because what would happen sometimes is like you'd have photographers abroad. Like I remember I had a photographer who really wanted to take photos of my stuff in Singapore, for
I
example.
remember this.
Do you remember this one? Yeah. Yeah, I think you were working with me at that point. And I sent it over there, and it took so long to get there, so many days and stuff. And then eventually the photos that they took was like their girlfriend wearing it. And I was like, dude, like this isn't what I like. What are you doing? You know? And yeah, stuff like that is difficult because you've invested a lot, and that's where the temptation comes in. But generally speaking, like, I mean, number one, all the models and stuff we used were people that I knew, right? And I'm not going to know any women to take photos anyway. But what I saw, regardless, naturally, was a lot of women would buy the stuff. Like, you'd see the names, bro, and you'd see just lots of women buying the stuff, whether it was for themselves or gifts for family and friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of took care of itself in that way. And I think if you position yourself in a particular way, head on, like, yeah, I said it was men's clothing or men's streetwear, but then in the description you could just write unisex and there you go, job done. And if someone wants it that much, I mean, I don't think women are stupid at all, bro. If they like something, they'll buy it and they'll wear it. You know, that's it doesn't have to be this or that.
Yeah.
Obviously men wearing women's clothes is one story, but I think women, you know, they'll wear a baggy hoodie or a jumper at home or whatever it is, and that's that. So it's not the end of the world in terms of that arena. I'm sure with other things and other products and stuff, the waters can be a bit different, you know.
Let me ask you this, because I saw a video on Facebook a week or two ago, and this person, he's someone of knowledge, okay, and he was making a video. He made a video about Qur'anly, actually, okay.
All right.
So he was like filming his phone with Qur'anly on his phone,
right,
and he was filming the fact that Qur'anly, you know, they give you, I think it's a trial. And then the trial is going to run out. So they have a countdown timer. And it says like, you know, make sure you avail this special pricing before the timer runs out, basically. And he's just spent like 5-10 minutes just smashing them for this, saying that it's un-Islamic and why are you adopting the methods of the kuffar, and why do I need he called it a doomsday clock or something, Yawm al-Qiyamah clock or something.
Really?
Why do I need that to date, like, just leave me alone, like, let me buy it or not buy it, right? So anyway, I must say that this brother is, I actually follow him because he has some interesting insights, but a lot of his posts are very negative and very like bitter, I would say. Right. So it's not surprising when you put it in that context that he's saying this. But I actually commented on the post because, you know, I'm a marketer. I've got to like defend my people out here. You know? So I was like, well,
you got involved. You got involved in an internet argument, but go for it.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, it's very civil. I just told him that, I said the countdown timer is there to push you not to buy, but to make a decision. Because too many people, like when you come, let's say you go to a shop and you find something to buy, right? Something you're interested in buying. A lot of the time you will not leave that. If you don't buy, you don't leave the shop saying, I don't want it.
Yeah.
You say, I don't know right now, I'm not going to buy it right now, and you leave. Yeah? So what a countdown timer does, it gives you an urgency to make a decision. The decision could be no as well, or it could be yes. If you want it, then it pushes you to buy it now. If you don't want it, it pushes you to kind of make a decision, make a final decision, and close the chapter. So I told him that, and he said like, why I shouldn't be pushed to make a decision. And I was kind of trying to explain to him that it's for your own good to make a decision, yes or no. And so I can't see how it's unethical, because it's for even if you're choosing no, at least you're choosing something. If you decide that this is something beneficial for you, it's better that you choose yes. It's better for you that you choose yes. So that's how I see it, and that's how I explained it to him. But he said, and then I just asked him, like, he was actually coming from a fiqh point of view, saying that this is not like what I learned. When I studied fiqh of trade and mu'amalat, I learned that this is not right. And I said, okay, can you like refer me to something? I'm actually interested in this, because we kind of do something like this in our business. So if it's wrong, let me learn about it. But he just kind of gave me a vague reference, to be honest. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not even sure like if we would find that. But my justification with that stuff is that like I said, it's better for the person to make a decision than no decision. What do you think about that? Like, is it ethical?
So just to understand, so it's a countdown timer that so it locks in a particular cheaper price.
Yeah.
Okay. So get it now while it's such and such. Okay. And is it a legit countdown timer, or is it one of those ones that are just an animation that refreshes? And
This is what he was saying as part of his rant. Yeah, he was saying that, you know, this countdown timer, when it goes to 0, it might just restart, which I don't think it would do. But he said, I can just get this app on another phone and then it would start from fresh again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's true. But what do you want them to do? It's not
so
possible.
All it is the end of the trial, not the price. Is that what it is?
Let's say it's this. Let's say your trial is over, and when your trial has ended, you can get a special offer. If you don't take that special offer, you can come back whenever you want, but it'll be a different price.
Okay, right, I understand. It also depends on what the trial offers on its own. Do you know what I mean? If it's just, I don't know what features. Because with Qur'anly, I just basically jumped in straight away, and I don't know what the free version's like, because I don't.
No, but the free version is it's all the features, but it's 7 days only.
Oh, and then after that, it just locks the app.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, I get you. Bro, do you know what? Let's be real. Everybody just wants, for some reason, I say everybody, I'm exaggerating. Lots of people that I've seen have just got issues with the whole Qur'anly thing, and I'm just not happy about that. Right, I'll defend them, bro, because it was an amazing idea, and I was like, do you know how many subscriptions I paid for? They're just an absolute waste of money, you know, and I never complained, you know, when, what was it? Disney Plus emailed me recently saying we're going to up your price in 2 months because I can't remember what excuse they gave. I was like, oh, that sucks. Did I cancel my subscription? Of course I didn't. Right? It just showed, like, I was thinking about this. I was like, there's so many things we pay for all the time that are a waste of money in comparison, especially. And it's like, well, suddenly you've got something that I do use. I do use Qur'an. I do like what it's enabled me to do. I do like the fact that I'm getting bullied into reading Qur'an every day. I should be getting bullied, you know, because I don't have people around me that can do that. Yeah. And that's what it served. It's like a friendly reminder. Hey, why not? Open the app up, you know, and I'll do that. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely worth my money, and I hope more people use it. And I'm not going to be there to complain about anything, because if I have a complaint, I will send it to them. I'll say, oh, by the way, you know, this feature, whatever, and it'll only be like a bug or something, or a suggestion. Help them to develop. And I want them to use every single marketing tool that they can to make more people benefit, because honestly, I believe it's worth the money. And I'm going to take this clip that I've just made and I'm going to tag Qur'anly, and they're going to share it as well. No, but seriously, bro, like, honestly, the app means so much to me, because it's one of the few things in some of the Islamic app systems, whatever. Maybe I haven't looked enough. There's probably loads of great Muslim apps there, but in terms of premium ones, this was the one where I was like, yeah. Another app like that was Zoya, like for stocks and stuff.
Yes.
They were charging £11 or £12 a month, bro, and I because I benefited from it, and the premium version was a bit more info and stuff, and I was like, do you know what, I'm not even doing this for the premium features. I just want to support this because this was absolutely amazingly useful. Boom, done. And I paid for it because I'm trying to get rid of this stupid, immature, stingy, backwards attitude of anything Islamic has to be free, and you're a hypocrite for charging anything for the hard work that you've put in to building this thing. You know, if you're so against it, go pick up a Qur'an, because guess what? The people that printed that Qur'an had to get paid too. You know, they're just fortunate enough that you probably got that Qur'an donated to you, gifted to you. But if you go online, you're going to buy a Qur'an, and it goes towards the people that made it, that, you know, puts it together, so to speak. Right? So anyway, just think of it that way. And if somebody wants to, like, honestly, like with Qur'anly, bro, I don't know if it's the new thing. I think there's a similar app that might have similar features. But like, if the minds behind that can make this, then I want more features with it. You know, one app that I've had in my head that I would love, and if I had the money, I'd put it together myself. But maybe Qur'an can take it on. It's just like reminding me to do Qur'an. I would love an app that just reminds me to do good deeds. But like, just from a selection of loads of good deeds that you could do. Like, hey, it's such and such time. Why don't you call your mum? You know, or why don't you donate something to charity, or why don't you go and see how your neighbour's doing, or anything. And you could scale them from difficulty, right? So like 1-star difficulty is something really easy, like send your mum a text, and like 5-star difficulty is like, I don't know, buy a present for your neighbour, or go and knock on your neighbour's door. And do you know what I mean? And you can choose to skip, but you can only skip a certain amount a day, or something like that, right? because you've got to do at least one of these things at a particular time.
Yeah.
And you could have it as a competition thing, like the Qur'anly thing signed back into, linked back into the Apple Watch stuff and the exercise stuff that I was doing. That element of competition, right?
Yeah.
Not that I've actually competed with anyone, but just seeing those hasanat points stack up, I was like, yo, that's amazing. Visualizing that. Imagine doing that with good deeds, bro. Like, I'd love to compete with the Sahaba used to compete with good deeds. That's well known, right? So if I was competing with my wife, I'd be like, yo, let's have it out. Let's see, stuff like that, bro. So the Muslim space, when it comes to technology, it's like a blue ocean, bro. There's so much that you could do there. But if you're not putting the money where your mouth is, what you're going to end up doing is having that Muslim Pro fiasco where they were just selling our data to God knows whatever government agencies because nobody's going to pay. So they to fund their stuff, they were putting ads and all this other stuff and selling data and God knows what else. You can't win if you do, and you can't win if you don't. That's my rant over.
Good clip. Yeah. Yeah, bro. This thinking is quite British, actually. This anti-business thinking, it's like unique. It's especially British and Muslim. Yeah, when these two things come together, they hate business. But it's this idea, this concept that people making money is a bad thing. People charging is a bad thing. Whereas another angle, another paradigm, another way of seeing it is that people are in business because they're solving a problem and they're actually benefiting. And like you're explaining that you're grateful to the people that made Qur'anly. You were grateful. Why?
Yeah.
Because it solved a problem. It improved your life, right? So they deserve to be paid for that, right? So business is a big tool for helping people ultimately. It should not be seen as purely it's like just extracting money from people. No, people are paying. Money is being extracted from my bank account because I'm happy to pay for it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like very rarely do I actually get scammed, like purely scammed, or I overpay for something. I'm happily paying for something because I see value in it. So I think
true value, bro. Honestly, true value, and with the right intention. Like, this is another thing. If you have if you got that little devil inside you that makes you feel a certain type of way about paying for stuff like this, then my advice is to realign your intentions, because when it comes to Qur'an or other endeavors like this, I see it as an act of charity that I'm supporting them to then benefit other people, right? To make this thing grow, to reach out more people. If my £5 or whatever a month goes towards their marketing to make this spread, then hey, I want to be part of that pie as well. I want to be part of that reward with the right intention, bi'idhnillah. I messaged them about, bro, and I'll say this here, not to big them up too much, but I messaged them because during Ramadan, it was the first time that I could remember where I'd actually completed the Quran during Ramadan. Because other times I've either fallen off or I haven't completed it or I've been late or whatever, to do it within those 30 days. And Quran was the first time I managed to do that. And I messaged them and I said to them, like, I just want you to know, keep doing what you're doing because this is what happened, this is what I did. And he was so touched by that, and it was so heartwarming to see that, hey, that's sincerity right there, that's what they're about, that this is the end goal. If you do have suggestions and stuff, I mean, I don't know who this brother is or the sheikh or whoever he is who did this video, but like, if you got an issue, then message them. You're Muslim brothers at the end of the day. Don't put them on blast in front of everybody and start like what's that about, like, crikey. But Allah knows best, man.
Well, when's Isa coming on the podcast, bro?
Do you know what? I'm going to do it, bro. We're going to get him on the podcast and he's going to talk about it because I've had enough of bigging him up behind his back. So we'll do it, inshallah.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I think that's a good topic, important topic.
Inshallah.
And you can have good intentions when buying from people, definitely.
Absolutely.
And what I understand at least, what Islam and the whole fiqh of mu'amalat, what it's there for, what the rules are there for, is to make sure that when you buy or sell, both parties are happy and the brotherhood stays intact.
Absolutely.
So now you might have been pushed to make a decision about Qur'anly and you bought it. Are you happy? You're happy.
Very happy.
Is Qur'anly happy? They're happy. Then that's fine. Like that's like that is what is expected from Allah when it comes to trade.
Yeah. I didn't pay at gunpoint, did I? It was like the timer was like a bomb going off in my heart or something.
If you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap things up, bro.
Yes, some good questions, good clips. Yes, and contact us. Go to mindhouspodcast.com. You can contact us there by email, and then we'll read the questions or comments just like this one. Like the conspiracy one, it wasn't a question; it was purely a comment. So those things are welcome as well. And this was episode 129. Take care. See you next episode, inshallah, with a special guest. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.